there, this is TJ Shimler with Victoria's Pet TV. We are going to be bringing back our shows on Facebook and on YouTube. It's been some time since we've had regular shows on due to our extremely busy schedule here, but now that we have our couple more employees in the store, it's going to be a lot easier for us to bring you consistent shows every week. The one thing I wanted to talk about today was real quick was the fact that a lot of people seem to get confused on what is considered all natural foods and what's considered a non-natural food, and different things on what makes a food a good food or a bad food. What it comes down to is every being was designed to eat a certain way. There are certain animals that are vegetarian, like let's say a cow, and they have multiple stomachs and different ways to digest vegetation and make it nutritious for them, that if we did that, we would starve to death and die, because we are more carnivores. And a dog and a cat is also are carnivores. They have very straight digestive tracts, one stomach. The food spends very little time in their system. So it's very important that whatever pet you have, or people, or whatever, that they eat that the way nature has designed their body to eat. So they eat the foods that nature has been designed their body to eat. It's just that simple. So, like I said, dogs and cats are carnivores. Dogs descend from the gray wolf, and cats descend from the South African wildcat. Okay, so it would be really easy for us to look back at those animals, the gray wolf and the South African wildcat. What did they eat in the wild? And that's exactly what we would feed them when they're in our homes. But what man has done is kind of changed pets in a way, dogs and cats. We've bred them differently. They look different. But the one thing that hasn't changed is their digestive systems. Their digestive systems are just as primitive now as they were back when they were still gray wolves and South African wildcats. So their bodies haven't changed as far as designed to how they handle different foods. They still are specifically designed to eat certain foods and not others. But man, for some reason, has tried to force our animals to eat differently than what they were truly designed by nature to eat. The other thing too that it's interesting is dogs and cats are not chewers. Like when you watch a cow eat and graze in the field, he chews, his jaws go back and forth, he grinds the grass and he eats it. Dogs and cats are gulpers. They grab, they gulp, you swallow, grab, gulp, and swallow. We've often said at our house too, Fergie, we give her a treat, it's like, please just chew the treat once. She doesn't, she gulps it down. And that's what makes them more of a carnivore. They're grabbing, tearing, and swallowing type of animal. The one thing, pet food is only new to history the last, say, 100 years. Before that, there wasn't a whole lot of domesticated animals. But if there were, they were kind of fed the way we were. There wasn't such a thing as you go to the store and buy pet food. You fed your dog or cat, if you had a pet, the way that you ate. But what manufacturers have done now is they realize that, okay, there's an industry here, and people don't want to either spend money or take the time to prepare their pets' foods. So the manufacturers came in and decided this is going to be a growing industry, about 100 years ago, and they introduced kibble. And what has happened is the pet industry has evolved in a way of making things cheaper, faster, and more profitable. And when that happens, quality suffers. And what the pet food industry has done is it's created a completely new outlet for recycling human products. Like you'll see that a lot of pet food is made from grains and such that have failed inspection for human use. Seafood parts and stuff that have not been inspected. Leftover restaurant grease goes into a lot of rendering and dead pet food. Downed cows and dead farm animals, also the same thing. They get used in the pet food industry, and roadkill and diseased livestock and such. And they're all picked up by what's called a renderer. And what a renderer does is they take all those various dead animals and restaurant greases and all these terrible products that are not even nearly fit for human consumption, and they basically grind them and dehydrate them down to get some protein out of them. And that's the main source of protein for most major manufacturers. Not all, but most major manufacturers in the store are buying their protein sources from rendering plants. You can do your research online about this, go on YouTube, you will find plenty of information about rendering out there. Now that is not considered high quality in any way as far as having a quality protein for your pet. It's nothing that you would even consume yourself. You wouldn't even consider consuming it yourself. So to feed it to your pet is just, a very awful way to feed your pet. The other thing they do is they blend in very cheap sources of starches, corn, wheat, soy, which almost all corn, wheat, and soy now, almost 100% of it on the market is GMO, Monsanto products. So unless you're buying organic, it is probably more than likely a GMO Monsanto product. Even if it was bought organic, dogs are not meant to eat corn, wheat, or soy. It's not a natural food in their diet, and their bodies really don't have the enzymes and the digestive tracts to process those foods and make them useful. It's mainly a filler, and in a lot of ways too, what it does is it causes inflammation in the body because it's considered almost like a pathogen to the body, because what happens is the body looks at it as this is something not natural for our body, so it creates an inflammatory response back when the pet eats it. So, and which is a bad thing, because almost all diseases can be traced back to inflammatory responses. Your heart diseases, your Alzheimer's, your Parkinson's, your arthritis, your autoimmune diseases, almost all of them go back to starting with an inflammatory response. Not acute, but chronic. So if your dog ate some corn one day, it's not like he's always going to have heart disease the next day. If you fed your dog corn for many years, there's a chance that he could have an inflammatory type disease down the road, or yourself for that matter. And the giant manufacturers, they realize this. But they know that they can buy these products so cheap, and they can put them in their food. So they have the rendered meat, the cheap grains, the GMO grains, and they put them in their food, and they can sell these foods to you. And they can put a cob of corn on the bag, and it looks all natural and good and everything. So, oh, corn, it's natural. And they can sell them to you at enormous profits. Enormous profits. There's a reason why you see Nestle buying Purina. I mean, Nestle doesn't give two craps about animal health. They look at Purina as a profitable company. And on that note, it amazes me how many people will trust a company like Purina. Because when you look at it, Purina brought you Beneful. And the Beneful brand has, I'm sure many of you are aware of, has been under fire lately because of how absolutely horrible it is for your pet. It has actual coloring and dyes like red number 6 and all these horrible colors. Like, your pet doesn't care what color their dog food is. And it's made with just horrendous types of poor quality grains and rendered meats. And it's come under fire in public scrutiny lately and on social media because of all of the terrible things that are in this food. Now that's brought to you by Purina. And Purina and all the major manufacturers, they see the trend. They realize that people are starting to think for themselves and get more natural. They're starting to realize that what they put in their body or in their pet's body makes a difference to them and to their overall health and how they feel. So they're jumping on the bandwagon. They're not gonna let this trend pass them by. So you're starting to see these companies come out with a natural type food. Now, even their best natural type food, it's not near as good as a company like, say, Fromm or Merrick or American Natural Premium. Those companies' labels, when you look at the label, the quality of their food, the products that are in their food, are still bar none beyond any of these other major manufacturers' all natural foods. But let's look at that. So Purina gives you Beneful, and then they come out with an all-natural food. Why would you trust a company that knows darn well that Beneful is just a god-awful food for your pet, that it's gonna hurt your pet, and it could practically kill your pet? And some dogs have gotten majorly sick and died because of eating Beneful. but yet they bring you this all-natural food, knowing that this other food that they give you an option for is that bad for your pet. Why would you ever put your faith in a company like that? What kind of morals does a company have to produce a food that knows that it's that bad for your pet? So put your faith in companies like Fromm, American Natural Premium. Canada is another good one. Great Life is another one we're carrying here at Victoria's. That is an awesome food. We make sure our foods have not only phenomenally top-notch quality products in them that are human-grade consumption products, but we also make sure that the companies we deal with are morally ethical. We're not going to have a company in our store that's going to make a food that's that bad and then say, oh yeah, but we also have this natural one, even though we know this other one could kill your pet. That is not a company we would put our faith into, because they should know better than that. If they truly cared about pets' health, they wouldn't even offer a food like that. They would just make the best natural food they possibly could. So that is the true difference between natural and not. And when you look at the studies that they have done, when you feed a pet a natural diet, there was a study done in Belgium recently where they have found that a pet's life can be extended by 2.5 years just by feeding a natural product. 2.5 years is a lot of time when you figure an average dog maybe lives 10 to 15 years. Add another 2.5 years onto that pet's life. That is a long time. So take the time, spend the little extra money that it costs, and in a lot of cases it doesn't cost any extra money. We have shopped all the major manufacturers, and we have found that a lot of times when you go to their natural food, which is still not near as good as our natural food is less money. And we offer discounts like frequent buyer programs, and you get after you buy so many bags, you get one free type things, which helps bring the cost of the bag down. So take the time and do your research and come on in and talk to us here at Victoria's Pet Nutrition, and we would be happy to show you an all-natural food. Your pet will feel better, it will look better, he'll have less allergies, less inflammation type diseases and things that crop up. You're seeing so much diabetes now, so much cancer now, things that never happened when dogs were still considered gray wolves in the wild. They didn't get cancer, they didn't get heart disease, they didn't have allergies, because they ate the way they were supposed to eat. We see this in humans too. When people start eating the way they're not supposed to eat, that's when you're seeing all of these diseases like heart disease and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and autoimmune diseases creeping in. But when their diet switches over to an all-healthy diet and all-natural, and which is natural for our bodies to eat, you see the health benefits just explode in your body. You feel better, you look better, you're not sick anymore. So do the same for your pet, and come down and talk to us here at Victoria's Pet Nutrition. We'd be more than happy to show you all of the wonderful foods we have, as well as our all-natural treats and such too. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.